Okay, so let's spin around to the bottom here, and we'll start working on the port. And let's just grab maybe the bottom piece here, and we'll hide everything else. We don't really need the blueprints for this. Okay, so the USB port's obviously hard to see on any kind of reference pictures. You can see it's pretty dark in there. We'll see if we have one where we can see it. Okay, and yeah, that's not really going to help us much. Okay, so what I'm going to do is just kind of, make up a basic one here for this connector. And obviously it's not going to be seen that much, but we want to put something in here so, it looks like there's something in that slot and it doesn't just have, a box sitting in there. So we'll just do something pretty simple here, and I don't want to spend too much time doing this part, but we'll just block this out quick. Alright, so let's go into maybe our top view here. And let's just maybe switch this to bottom. Okay, so we're looking up at the bottom. And we'll just start this with a box. Alright, so let's grab one of those. We'll just draw it out over top here for a second. And we're going to make it a little bit bigger than the actual opening. Okay, we'll get a little height. Okay, and we'll just convert this to a poly right away. We'll just kind of size it to fit. Okay, so I'm just going to move the verts in here on the left side, and we'll just push that in a bit. Just slightly over the edge, the same both ways this way. Okay, so just a bit in. Alright, and then we'll just center this. Okay, so let's go back to the hierarchy tab, effect mode only, center it, turn that off, and then we'll zero out the X and Y spinners here so we know that it's centered to the model. Okay, we're only going to work on a piece of this at a time. There's no real reason to model the entire thing. Alright, so let's maybe add a segment down the center. Okay, so let's connect those edges up with one segment in the middle. And we'll also connect the edges up this way with one segment. Okay, let's also move this down and into position. Okay, so we're just going to park it right at the top of the opening, like so. And we just grab a polygon here. I think we'll just work on a quarter of this maybe at a time. And let's maybe do this one here. So I'm just going to grab the other three sections, all the polygons, and we'll delete those out. Okay, and we'll also delete this one here at the opening. Alright, so we pretty much just have this little three-sided box. Okay, and let's see. We do want to give it some detail here, so let's maybe switch our back view to the front. Okay, and I'm just going to, kind of quickly add some detail here. Okay, let's maybe add an edge loop this way. And let's also maybe add one this way. Okay, I think we'll kind of just, give it a little bit of a punch in here. Let's maybe do an inset on this polygon. Just going to inset that a bit. Take this up. Let's do about 1.5 and okay, and then we'll delete out the bottom and side polygon there. We don't need those. And we'll go back into the front view here, grab those right side verts, make planar on X, and then zero out the X spinner so it's in the center again. We'll do the same with the bottom, make planar on Y, or Z, sorry. And then we'll zero out the Y spinner at the bottom. Whoops, wrong one. Just gotta undo a few times there. Make planar on Z, and we'll just move this down a little bit, line up with the edge. Okay, let's maybe just push this in. Just going to select this polygon here where the inset was. Just going to move that in a bit to kind of get a little bit of a dent on the surface here on the inside. We'll just do something like that. We don't need a lot of detail. Maybe a little bit more. Okay, and obviously we don't want to see up next to the piece here, so we're going to need to shift drag this edge right here at the bottom. Just hold down, shift drag that over on the X. Okay, and then in the top view here, I'm going to make planar on X and zero out the X spinner. Okay, and then we'll line it up with those other edges there, but we'll still have some verts we need to weld right here. Okay, so let's weld those, weld the two at the back. So that's one piece now. Okay, and let's see, let's also maybe delete off the top polygons for now and make this a little bit easier. Delete those out. And let's maybe do a loop on this corner edge. I'm just going to roll this over a little bit with a chamfer. Let's do... We'll do about 0.6 or so with maybe 3 segments. And okay, that'll give us a nice round corner there. So let's see what this looks like from the inside. Okay. And let's see if we can just maybe support this a little bit. I think we might smooth it out. You really don't need to smooth it out because obviously you can't see it, so you can definitely get away with just doing a couple of chamfers. But just for the sake, I'm going to maybe smooth it. Alright, so I'm going to do a ring on this inset part here. 2 segments, so we'll just pinch those out. Okay, let me just change the color here so we can actually see what's going on. Okay, so we'll just add a couple of edges there. Let's also maybe add an edge here. Just going to ring those 2 edges. Connect it up with 1 segment. And you know, pretty much the same process here as we've been doing on most of the pieces, just adding some support edges around each of these sections. Let's bring that down to the bottom. And let's also maybe add one through this section up to the top. And one more this way. And like I mentioned, you don't need to do all this if you don't want to. This is definitely overkill for something so small and on the inside of the model. Okay, so that should hold the shape of that pretty good. There is a little hole on the inside of the port here where the clips go when you put in the cord to charge it. So let's maybe create some kind of hole over here. And we also might want to add a little bit of detail in this section. Let's do that first maybe. Just going to ring an edge here. Okay, we'll add a connect. And let's just do it in the center with 1 segment. And we'll chamfer that maybe. Let's do just 1 segment. Take those apart a little bit. Maybe around 0.4 or so, and okay. And we'll just maybe extrude this out a bit, just to have a little bit more detail. So I'm just going to grab those polygons down the center there, and we'll punch this out. Alright, so let's open up extrude. We'll take it down to a negative amount, and we'll just kind of extrude it in just a little bit here to get some detail. Okay to that, we can delete the top polygon, we don't need it. Okay, and let's maybe chamfer down some edges over here. Alright, so let's grab these 2 on the tops, and we might as well do these ones as well. So let's grab the 4 edges around this part and loop them. Okay, I'm just going to spin around so we can see the bottom here. And we're just going to give this a slight chamfer. Just a bit like that. Okay, and then we'll grab the bottom polygon, control click edge to have the edges selected around that part. And we'll deselect the back edge here, we don't really need to do that one. Okay, let's maybe just do these 2 as well. Okay, I'm just going to give those a really, really slight chamfer. Okay, I'll just round over the edge a little bit for us. Okay, we'll adjust the position in a minute. Let's go over here and see if we can add some kind of hole to the side. Alright, so I'm just going to grab an edge there in the center. And let's do maybe a ring on this and a connect. And we don't want this to be too wide, so let's take it in a little bit towards the center. Maybe like -45 or so, and okay. And let's just add a couple of additional segments to the center here. Okay, so let's do another connect. Alright, actually, let's grab these edges here manually. Let's close that for a second. We'll grab these ones, and then we'll ring. Okay, just make sure all those edges are selected. So we can continue our loops down to the center there. And now we'll connect it up. Okay, let's just do 2. And we'll slide it down just a little bit here. And something like that should be fine. Maybe we'll just give it a little bit more of a pinch together. Okay. And then we'll come in here and we'll just delete this little polygon here. Okay, and let's go to the top view. We'll just make sure this is on the right place. I'm just going to grab all the verts here, besides these ones on the side. I'm just going to move it up a little bit so it's more lined up with the edge. We still want it to be tucked in a little bit, but we'll get a little bit closer to what we need. Okay, we can also shorten it up maybe a little bit here. Let's just move the entire thing up. Just gonna kind of set it right on the top there. Okay, and let's go over here and we'll add a little bit of support around this hole because we're gonna need to pull that in. Alright, so let's do a ring on these edges here. Another connect. Let's do maybe 2 segments and we'll just pinch those apart a bit to support the corner. We'll get rid of this one and this one. So loop those, take them out. Another one on the side. Okay, so let's slide that a little bit closer. And then take out this one. And the exact same thing this way. And one more underneath. Okay, we want to make sure that one continues all the way down, so let's just grab these edges holding control as well as these ones, and we'll ring it. And the reason why that won't select is because we have some n-gons here. Alright, so we just want to make sure we have the edges selected so those loops will continue. And just say OK to that and then take out that bottom one. Okay, so I think that's probably enough detail for the outside. And I think we'll just pretty much maybe make a couple of copies of this using a symmetry. So let's go to the top view. Pivot point should still be in the center here, so let's add a symmetry modifier. Okay, we'll flip the mirror on X, and then we'll add another symmetry modifier above it, and flip that on Y. Okay, now it'll give us the full port. And let's also maybe put another color on here just so we can see it. Just going to assign the gray shader to that. And we'll just see if this looks okay. Okay, let's also do a turbo smooth on it, maybe. Okay, so put that on, we'll do 2 iterations, nice line, we'll just see if it's going to hold up. Okay, that looks pretty good. I think we might want to do a little bit of work on this hole first though. So let's maybe just delete the turbo smooth. We'll delete maybe the middle symmetry here. Okay, and we'll just have this symmetry on, which is on the y-axis, so we have one side complete here. Okay, now let us work on this hole a little bit better. Okay, so I'm going to collapse that down now, back to editable poly. And we're just going to need to do something to this hole. Let's make it a little bit taller maybe. We'll also maybe take out the center edge for now. Alright, so I'm going to grab an edge above and below the hole here in the center, loop them, and control backspace them out. And we'll just maybe stretch this up a little bit. So I'm going to grab the top verts. We'll just pull them up. Maybe something like that. And let's make it maybe a little bit narrower. I'm just going to grab the 2 rows of verts there and slightly scale it in on the Y. Okay, make it a little bit more narrow. And let's deselect the bottom ones here. Okay, so we just have the ones above the hole selected. And I'm going to taper the top a little bit, more like that. And let's also maybe give it a little bit of a curve here, so it's not so flat. Okay, so let's ring the top edges and connect it up again. And let's do maybe 3 with no pinch, no slide, and okay. and then we'll just grab the verts here at the top of the hole. And we'll go into the left view and just move those up to get kind of a rounded top on it. Okay, so let's move those up like that. And finally we'll select the border around the hole, hit Z to zoom in. Okay, I'm also going to just adjust this a little bit here so we don't have those flat spots. Just going to move these two pairs up. Alright, and it definitely doesn't need to be perfect on a detail like this. Okay, so select the border there. Just going to hold down shift and extrude it in. Alright, so it looks like this has some thickness. And finally we'll just ring these inner edges and connect them up with one segment. Slide that down to the front. And we'll test smooth it here with 2 iterations, nice line. Just see if that looks okay. Okay, it's pretty simple, but I think that's good enough for the detail on the inside. So let's delete the turbo smooth, back into top view. We'll add a symmetry again, flip it on the X, and collapse it to editable poly. Put on the turbo smooth, 2 iterations, and nice line. Okay, that'll pretty much complete the inside of the port for us. And if you want to add more detail, you can. It's really not that necessary, unless you're going to have a render where you can see right in here. Okay, so for the top here, we could just, you know, drop down to edit poly and grab the top border and cap it. But that's really going to give us a lot of verts along this polygon, and we could connect them up, but it's going to take a little bit of time. So I think I'm going to undo that. And I'm just going to put maybe a little plane above it just to block the hole. Alright, so we'll grab a plane here and we'll just draw that out over top and slightly bigger than the inside of the port. Okay, we'll take off the segments, we don't need those. Also make sure that's centered here on X and Y. And we'll just move that down into position. I'm just going to change the color of these to black. Okay, we'll just park that kind of right up at the top, just to close up the hole. Okay, that's really the quick and crude way to do it, but I don't really think we need to worry about it too much. Okay, and I also want to just throw a shader on here so you can see this polygon. Let's assign that. I just right click for a second and go into object properties, and if we turn on backface call, we just want to make sure that face is actually facing down, okay, which it is. But because we made the port out of a box, the faces or the normals are probably facing the wrong way still. Okay, so we're going to select that. Let's grab it from the inside, and if we turn on backface call here, you can see the normals are facing out. Alright, we definitely want to flip those over. Okay, so we're going to go in here, just going to drop down below the turbo smooth, go into the modify list, and we'll find the normal modifier, and we'll just check on flip normals there. That'll flip them the right way. And then we'll right click over here in the modifier stack and go to collapse 2 and hit hold yes. Okay, that'll collapse the normal modifier off and leave our turbo smooth on top. Okay, now everything's facing the right way. So if you want to, you can just turn that back off in the properties so it's displaying properly. Okay, so now we'll just do some kind of, you know, really quick board in here so we have some detail in the center. And let's maybe just do that in the top view, and we'll use a box for this one as well. Okay, I'm going to drag it out from pretty much where these little extrusions are over to the other side. We'll make it quite thin, give it a little bit of height, and we'll just zero X and Y again, and move it down. Okay, we're just going to park it inside here. Okay, we definitely don't want this to be too thick or sticking out too far, so take the thickness down a little bit more. I want it to be pretty thin. Okay, and we'll do maybe like 100 on the width and say maybe 20 on the height. Okay, we'll just line it up at the top here so it's lined up with that back plane. And we'll just quickly add some detail here. I'm just going to get rid of this bottom piece. We don't need to see that. Okay, so we'll grab our box there and let's convert it to editable poly. Okay, the first thing we're going to do is delete off the top polygon, which we don't need. Alright, so let's select that and delete it. And let's give it a little detail here. Let's also maybe cut it in half. Alright, so I'm going to add one connect down the center there and delete one side. Let's actually do this side maybe. Okay, we'll just quickly add some detail to this. And actually, let's maybe not do that. Let's leave it whole. It'll be easier for us to create the pins. I'm just going to undo that so it's one full piece. And we'll get rid of that center edge. And we'll just do this all at once. Okay, so let's grab an edge there. We're going to do a ring. Connect that up with two segments. And we'll just pinch those down to the ends here. Okay, we're going to go pretty close, probably like 98 or so. And okay. And I'm going to chamfer these edges, both these loops. Okay, so we'll take that down to a small amount, maybe something like 0.15 or so, and okay. And I'm going to grab a vert here so I can see it in the top view. Okay, and I also want to make sure that we're looking at the right side of the phone here, so I'm just going to unhide all for a second. Okay, we're on the back, so I'm going to spin around to this side. Okay, I'm going to come in here and just select this vert here. Okay, then we'll go into the top view. I just want to make sure we have the right ones. Let's grab those two verts, come over to the center here, and we'll grab these ones. Actually, not those ones, just that end one there. Okay, so we have the same two selected at each end. Okay, we're just going to move these back to create a little bit of a dip in the board. Just slightly bring those down on the Y. Okay, so it's just dented in a little bit like that. Doesn't have to be much. And then we're going to go into edge and grab these edges here. Going to hold down Alt, deselect these ones as well as these ones, so we just have the two corner ones selected. Same thing at the other end, hold down Control, deselect those ones and those ones. Okay, so we have the four corners selected here. And I'm just going to roll these over a little bit with the chamfer. And we'll do something like that with two segments. That'll just round out the end of the board for us. And just to make it a little quicker, I'm just going to maybe chamfer the bottom too. We don't need to really worry about doing support edges on this. Alright, so let's go into the front view. Maybe we'll grab all the edges here, deselect the side ones. Go into the top view, deselect these ones on each side. Okay, so we just have the edges around the bottom selected. And we'll just chamfer that down really, really small with one segment. Okay, and let's go to polygon here. Grab this top polygon where we punched it in. We'll detach this as a clone. Okay, and let's select it there. Apply a different color to it. And let's also slightly move it out so we can see it. And we'll create the pins out of this piece. So let's grab the top and bottom edge. We'll connect that up. Let's do it in the front view. Okay, so we'll connect it up. Let's take off the pinch and we'll add a bunch of segments here. Let's do maybe like 64 or something. I'm not sure the actual pin count. I couldn't really find a picture of it, so we'll just do something like that. And let's also chamfer these down. Okay, so we're going to chamfer all those edges. Okay, we'll take a look at this in the perspective view. And we'll do around 0.3 and okay. Alright, so now we got these polygons selected. Let's deselect them. And then I'm just going to go in and select the end one and each second polygon. Okay, it's going to take a second to get all the way to the other side, but it's pretty quick. Okay, so just skip one and keep selecting. Almost there. Okay, so you should end off with the other end selected. Alright, so we're going to delete those. So we just have those chamfered edges, polygons left. And we'll turn off polygon here and we'll apply a shell modifier to get some thickness on it. Okay. And we'll crank this down. We don't want these to be too thick. Alright, so let's take it down quite a bit. We'll do maybe around 0.3 or 0.4, and that looks okay. So let's convert this to a poly to get rid of the shell. Go into polygon. First thing I'll do is get rid of the top polygons, which we don't need. Okay, so select all the polygons there, deselect the side ones. So we just have the top selected. Okay, and we're just going to delete those out. We also don't need to have the back polygons selected, so let's get rid of them. It's going to grab all the polys. Okay, and in the left view I'm just going to hold down Alt and deselect the front and side ones, as well as the top and bottom. Alright, so we just have the back selected here, and we'll delete those out. Okay, now we'll go to Edge, go back into the left view. Okay, we'll zoom in here at the bottom and grab the bottom edges as well as the front edges by just selecting this corner here. Okay, just like that. Alright, so we don't want the back border selected or the other end. We just want to do the front edges as well as these two corner ones at the front, or bottom, sorry. Okay, and we'll just chamfer that down really quickly. And again, you don't have to do this much detail if you don't want to. None of this stuff's going to really be noticeable. Okay, so we'll just give it a little bit of a chamfer like that to soften it up and hit OK. Okay, let's get out of Edge there. I'm just going to change the color of these two pieces to black. And we'll just throw maybe our gray shader on there. Okay, and we'll also want to make sure that it's actually touching up in the back there. So I'm going to grab both pieces, go into the left view. Alright, we just want to make sure that that's sticking through the plane. It looks like it is. Just going to move it up a little bit. Okay, and if you really want to smooth this out, you can with the Turbo Smooth, but that's absolutely not necessary. Okay, so I think that's probably all the detail we really need to worry about doing it here. You could add maybe some screws in the back and stuff if you want to, even just clone these ones and, you know, put a couple around to jazz it up a bit, but we really don't need to worry about doing that. Okay, so I think that'll complete the USB port, and the last thing we'll do is just make a couple of final adjustments to the position of some of the pieces, and I think we'll finally be done with this. Okay, let's go over into the display panel here, and we'll go into the freeze panel and unfreeze all here. Okay, I'm just going to get rid of the blueprints. We don't need to have those in here anymore. Okay, so let's delete those out. Make sure we get these ones and the top one. Okay, I'm just going to select everything here and apply our shader to it. Okay, and I'm going to turn on the realistic shading here just so we can get a better idea of what this looks like with some AO on it. Okay, so we'll just make a couple of final adjustments here. Make sure that we didn't miss anything. Okay, and I'm still not really liking these buttons here. Let's take a look at our reference for a second. Okay, you can see those are quite a bit more beveled than what we have. Let's see if we can maybe adjust them just quickly here. Okay, so we'll zoom in on this one. And let's see if we can just get rid of maybe this corner edge, kind of like what we did on the other one. So just going to loop this one here and control backspace that out. Okay, and then we'll just see if we can support it up a little bit and get a better result. Okay, so I'm going to ring those edges and reconnect them in the exact same way. Okay, and we'll smooth that out and see if that looks a little bit better. Alright, that's more of what we want. Alright, so let's do the same thing down here. Okay, so loop this edge here. Control backspace it. Let me get rid of that shading. Ring and connect with two segments. I'm going to scale it a little bit more, I think. I still think it's a little too wide. Alright, so I'll do the same way, just grab these. Scale it down on the Y, and we're just going to go a little bit on this. We don't need to do much. Let's take it down to about maybe 85 on the Y there at the bottom. Okay, so just a little bit more. Going to do that up here as well. Okay, bring that down the same amount, 85, and the same this way. Okay, I think that should finish off the buttons. Just re-enable those turbo smooths. Okay, I think that looks a little bit more like what we want. Okay, and let's look at it from the side here. I just want to make sure they're out the right distance. Alright, so I'm going to select both these. We're going to move them out a little bit. I think they're a little too far into the surface. Okay, and let's see about this guy up here. We'll maybe push him in a bit. Okay, and from what I can tell on my phone, these are all about the same distance out from the surface. Alright, so maybe move that in a little bit more, like that. Okay, that looks pretty good. Alright, so let's check everything out here. Let's grab this. Alright, I'm going to move that up a little bit more. I think it's still a little too far down. And we'll go over and grab that home button there. And we'll make sure this is lined up obviously with the glass surface here, and right now it's sticking out a little too far. Alright, so we'll go into the side view here. And we'll just move that in a little bit here and try to line it up. Okay, I think that's where we want it. Alright, I'm going to apply another iteration to the glass here for a second, just to smooth that hole out. Okay, that's more of what we want. Okay, I think we're okay on the bottom. Let's grab the sim door over here. And this is pretty much flush with the surface. Like I mentioned before, I'm going to leave it sticking out just slightly so that it catches a little bit more light. Just move it in like that, maybe. Okay, and we'll just check the glass here. Make sure these are about even. Just gonna grab the back glass and the front glass here, and we'll just look at it from the side. Okay, I think those are fine. Alright, so I'm just going to hide that glass, or actually we can just apply our transparent material to it. And let's check everything out underneath. Okay, I think we're good to go here. Alright, so it's a good idea always to go over your model at the end and just, make sure that you didn't leave anything out of position or forgot to add something. Okay, so I think we're pretty good. I don't think we forgot to do anything. So we'll just apply that transparent material to the front. And I think we'll be done with the phone here. Okay, and in the next part we'll start applying materials and lighting and rendering it. Okay, so that'll finish off the modeling part, and I hope you learned something from this, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.